Hello everyone, CompleteIndie here, and welcome. So, to celebrate Magic the Gathering's adventure into the Forgotten Realms, I decided to make a commander deck around one of the new commanders. I considered Oswald Fiddlebender, but mainly decided against it because I'd done a mono white deck pretty recently. Delina Wildmage was a good candidate, but ultimately I couldn't think of any use for it. Kalain Reclusive Painter was such a good candidate that I built the deck, and while it's not going to be this month's Battle of Wits deck, it has become my personal black-red deck. But, for Battle of Wits, commander deck building on a budget, I went with Volo, Guide to Monsters. Volo is a green-blue commander that costs 4 mana, and it says that whenever you cast a creature spell, if it doesn't share a type with creatures you control or in your graveyard, copy it. This is a weird commander that directly encourages having no shared creature types. Unlike cards like Marwyn Nurturer or Sliver Hive Lord, we want to do anti-tribal, with little to no overlap. So, I did it. No creatures in this deck share a type. Not one. It was hard to pull off, but I did it, so no more stalling. Let's get to the deck itself. For some ramp to start things off, we have Burnished Heart and Solemn Simulacrum, both of which are creatures that decently ramp early game and in the late game can place even more lands out. We also have various effects like Cultivate, Soul Ring, and Growth Spiral. Once you've ramped a bit, you can start drawing cards. Good ways to do this can be with Vidalcan Heretic, Murder of Crows, and Soul of the Harvest, or our non-creatures like Brainstorm, Urban Evolution, as well as the powerful Paradoxical Outcome, which can bounce you non-token creatures so you can play them again later. With mana and cards, what's next? Start filling the board, both with powerful Enter the Battlefield triggers and powerful creatures. On the whole Enter the Battlefield front, we got Jadelight Ranger, Mind Flare, and Sweetgum Recluse, all of which create a lot of value very quickly. As for the powerful creatures front, Palaka Worm, Stonecoil Serpent, and Steel Hellkite all do a lot of damage rather fast, with upside. Next, with good creatures, mana, and card draw, we need to focus on removing our opponent's stuff. Cards like Apex Altasaur, Terrestrodon, and Woodfall Primus do the job, but also some slightly cheaper things like Brutalizer Exarch, Dream Eater, and Nessun Wild's Ravager. We also have stored spells to do this, like Beast of Fin and Counterspell, of course. With all that in mind, by now we've made a lot of tokens. We could use Selesnya Eulogist plus some instant sorceries to populate those tokens, or we could play a Junk Winder and instantly get some value from it, or we could play Hornet Queen to create even more tokens, or we could play into the non-creature side of the deck with cards like Twinning Staff, Full Flowering, and Second Harvest to create a ton of value that way, as well as cards like Combine Chrysalis and Team Pennant as rewards for our tokens. Finally, we've got some powerful win cons if none of the previous things count. Spark Double and Mercurial Pretender can both be extra copies of your best things, which could prove very powerful. Enray's Forerunners is a great way to swing for Fatal with all of your newfound tokens. Hour of Eternity can be a late game win con to reanimate your whole graveyard as tokens. And Predator Ooze serves as an indestructible creature that'll get out of hand quite fast. In short, this deck creates massive amounts of value by flooding the board with creature tokens. The main strategy is more or less to simply overwhelm your opponent and go in for the kill. Some great cards for the deck that couldn't work due to budget include Craterhoof Behemoth, Hex Drinker, and Wormcoil Engine. Craterhoof Behemoth serves as a win con for the deck, able to give all of your creatures a decently sized buff and trample. Hex Drinker serves as a powerful mana sink for the late game on what can become a very powerful beater, and Wormcoil Engine is a really good creature that on its own creates 2 decent tokens when it leaves. All in all, the deck comes up to only $100, and you can find the link to the full deck list on Archedeck in the description below. This deck was a joy to make, and it was a really fun challenge to try and make sure every creature in the deck is able to be copied by Volo at almost all times. I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to check out my custom set foundations in the next week. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It would help out a ton. Here's a video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like. Here's a video that's my most recent. And until we meet again, ciao.